Money. It's a topic that touches every aspect of our lives. We earn it, spend it, save it, and sometimes it feels like it controls us. But what did Jesus have to say about this essential part of our daily existence? His teachings on money are as profound today as they were thousands of years ago. Let's dive into the wisdom Jesus shared about money, uncovering the principles that guide us towards a balanced and faithful relationship with our resources. The heart of the matter. Have you ever wondered why Jesus spoke so much about money? It's because he knew how central it is to our lives and how easily it can become an idol. In Matthew 6:24, Jesus said, "No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." Here, Jesus isn't just talking about money. He's talking about the power money can wield over our hearts. He calls us to choose where our true allegiance lies, with him, not with the fleeting promises of wealth. In Matthew 6:19-21 he adds, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." This passage emphasizes the importance of focusing on eternal treasures rather than temporary earthly wealth. The parable of the talents, investing in eternity. Imagine being entrusted with a valuable gift and having the chance to use it wisely. In the parable of the talents, in Matthew 25:14-30, Jesus tells a story of a master who gives his servants different amounts of money, expecting them to invest and grow it. The master says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. And immediately he went on a journey. The servants who wisely invested their talents were rewarded, while the one who buried his talent out of fear was reprimanded. The master said, 'You wicked and lazy servant, you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest.'" This parable teaches us that our financial resources are not just for our benefit, but are entrusted to us by God to be used for his purposes. How we handle money reflects our faithfulness and commitment to God's work. The rich fool, a cautionary tale. Jesus told a story in Luke 12:16-21 about a rich man who stored up wealth for himself, only to find his life required of him that very night. He said, "The ground of a certain rich man yielded plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, 'What shall I do, since I have no room to store my crops?' So he said, 'I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there I will store all my crops and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'Fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then whose will those things be which you have provided?' Jesus concluded, 'So is he who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God.'" This tale isn't just about wealth, it's about the attitude behind it. It's a reminder that life is fleeting, and that our true treasure should be in our relationship with God, not in our material possessions. Generosity, a reflection of God's heart. Jesus' teachings also emphasize the importance of generosity. In Luke 6:38 he says, "Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be put into your bosom." Jesus isn't just advocating for giving. He's illustrating the abundant return that comes from a heart willing to bless others. Generosity is a reflection of God's own generous nature and a way to align our hearts with his. In Luke 14:13-14 he instructs, "But when you give a feast, invite the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you, for you shall be repaid at the resurrection of the just." This teaching encourages acts of generosity without expecting repayment. The widow's mite, true sacrifice. The story of the widow's mite in Mark 12:41-44 offers a powerful lesson in sacrificial giving. While many rich people gave large amounts of money, it was the widow who, out of her poverty, gave 2 small coins that captured Jesus' attention. He said, "Truly I say to you that this poor widow has put in more than all those who have given to the treasury. For they all put in out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty put in all that she had, her whole livelihood." Her offering wasn't about the amount but the heart behind it. It reminds us that God values our sacrifices and intentions far more than the size of our donations. Seek first the kingdom, priorities in perspective. In Matthew 6:33, Jesus offers a solution to our financial anxieties. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. He acknowledges our needs but redirects our focus. By prioritizing our relationship with God and his kingdom, we align our lives with his will, trusting that he will provide for our needs. This is a call to faith, to trust in God's provision over our own plans and anxieties. Other teachings and principles. Jesus also addressed money in various other ways. In John 2:13-16, he showed his anger towards the commercialization of sacred spaces. Now the Passover of the Jews was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. And he found in the temple those who sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the money changers doing business. When he had made a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple, with the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money and overturned the tables. And he said to those who sold doves, "Take these things away. Do not make my Father's house a house of merchandise." This incident underscores the importance of keeping our spiritual lives free from the corrupting influence of greed and commercialism. In Matthew 5:42, Jesus encourages generosity with the simple directive, "Give to him who asks you, and from him who wants to borrow from you, do not turn away." This teaching calls us to an open-hearted approach to those in need, reflecting the generosity of God. Finally, in Luke 16:10-13, Jesus elaborates on the importance of faithfulness in handling material wealth. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, and he who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Therefore, if you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. This passage challenges us to be faithful stewards of both our material resources and spiritual responsibilities. Conclusion: draw closer to Jesus. The teachings of Jesus on money are not merely guidelines for financial management, but profound insights into our spiritual lives. They challenge us to examine our hearts, prioritize our relationship with God, and live out our faith through our resources. As you reflect on these teachings, let them guide you toward a life where money serves God's purposes rather than dictating your choices. Embrace Jesus' wisdom, and let it transform your understanding of wealth and provision. In every financial decision, seek his guidance. Let your generosity be a reflection of his love, and trust in his provision as you focus on his kingdom. May your journey with money bring you closer to Jesus, enriching your faith and fulfilling your purpose. If this video has blessed you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that uplifts and inspires. Blessings to you, and see you in the next video.